Now that I'm officially done with Outriders, I will say that my feelings on it are very bittersweet. They're sweet because I really loved it. It was a whole lot of fun, even with its issues. It was great. It's bitter because I forgot that I kind of have an issue with lag rage. And this game just smacks you in the face with a bag of concrete lag to really, really remind you. Hi everyone, I'm Bunny Bouncer, and on this channel we go down a rabbit hole of gaming and all things within the geekdom. On my last video, I gave my honest feelings on the new Marvel Hulu show MODOK. Today we're going to jump over to the gaming side of things, and we're going to talk about the game that has gotten me back into gaming in general, and that is Outriders. Outriders came out April 1st, I believe, and it was $60. Well, $59.99 if you want to be, specific. And it is played through the Steam platform. The story is centered on your character, who is a specially trained soldier called an Outrider. And it's set in a world where Earth has fallen, and the last dregs of human civilization have taken to the stars to find a new world. And they land on Enoch. And of course, they're met with complications, such as the anomaly, which is what makes your character into an altered. I loved the combat and the animations. They were very reminiscent of Mass Effect for me, and I love Mass Effect. Not Andromeda. All Mass Effect fans, we just kind of wish we could block that from our memories and pretend it never happened. But I love Mass Effect. It's just the right blend of tactical shooter with magic. And yes, I know, it's not magic, but it feels that way. And with Outriders, you get the same overall feeling. Whether you're playing the role of a sniper sitting back in cover, or you're charging in, just guns blazing, it's just the right blend of muscle-tensing shooter and cinematic. It really challenges your priorities in your decisions with your mods and the fact that you only get to use 3 abilities. But I kind of like that. So if you look over here at your armor, you have 5 pieces of armor. And in each of these pieces of armor, you can only change 1 single mod. So while I have nice legendary gear, until I got my nice legendary gear, which is a gear set specifically designed for the way that I played, the issue leading up to that was if I had a piece of armor with 2 really bad mods for the way that I played, I could only change 1 of the mods. However, you have to keep your gear up to level. If it is below level, it really, really takes down your survivability and your damage. So you have to keep it up to level. And it's the same thing with your weapons. You can only choose to change 1 mod. So I like that you have to be picky with what you use, and you really have to decide, okay, well, what matters more to me? This specific amount of damage, this specific amount of healing, this certain ability, and it makes it really hard to choose, but I liked that. And then with your skills, you can only use 3 out of your 8, which is really difficult. And throughout the game, as you're playing, you'll find that you continuously change. So you're not using the same 3 abilities as when you started the game, and then when you're mid-game, you're using a completely different set of abilities as well. I like that it doesn't cost anything for you to reset your tree. Now that's a double-edged thing, because I don't like that I constantly had to change my tree. However, if you're going to make it to where I have to continuously adapt, make it free and make it easy. And the great thing is you can completely respec your entire tree in the middle of combat. Not that you should. I don't recommend that in the slightest. Your teammates are probably going to be very angry at your delay. Playing co-op successfully required a lot of teamwork, especially in boss fights and expeditions. I played a Technomancer, and the abilities I was using till I got to expeditions, they were not geared toward interrupts. And so we would have to specifically work things out. In expeditions, it's even harder because in some of the expeditions, you have what I guess you'd call checkpoints, to where somebody must always be within the circle, and you have to keep it clear of mobs. So it requires a lot of communication and a lot of teamwork, and I really like that for shooters and tactical games, because I feel like it really adds to the feel of it. I loved the story. Now, I've been hearing mixed reviews on how people feel about the story. Some are saying that they didn't like it, some are saying that they loved it. I fall into the side of loving the story. It was gritty and it was dark, and honestly, it left me sad that it was over. But without giving too many spoilers, I think the ending to it was really good because they ended it in a way to where it technically wrapped things up, but it left an unspoken cliffhanger that opens the door for them to create further expansions off of the story that they have. Rather than having to come up with a different storyline, they can just progress the storyline that they've already built. Before I continue and I just keep running my mouth, let me know what about Outriders interests you, or on the flip side, let me know what about Outriders turns you off the game. And while you're down there, hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that bell to be notified of my future videos. And continue. The gore and profanity factor. I understand with certain abilities, for instance, when you use your scrapnel grenade, it makes sense that things are gory because that's how it would be in real life. I, however, just the same as in real life, don't want to see something explode. I don't. It is very icky. And with the profanity, some of you might say, oh, you're being a wimp. It's just a word. Well, let me just say this. I've never heard someone say, you know, this story could really benefit from a few more F-bombs. But I have heard loads of people saying they really wish there was not so much language. And also the gore and the profanity, it hinders another area of players, which is kids. The game would actually be okay, I feel, for kids to play. Obviously not like little kids, but preteens and stuff. It would be okay for them to play it if there wasn't the gore and the profanity. Because I can't imagine any responsible adult seeing the gore and the profanity in this and saying, yeah, go ahead, have at it. All in all, the story was short. So if you don't have something you wanted to accomplish by the end of the game, there's nothing to replay about it. The unskippable cinematics. This is a very small thing, but it bugs me because once I've seen a cinematic, I don't want to rewatch the cinematic. I love cinematics. I am a very story-driven player. But if I'm doing a quest and I have watched the cinematic before, I don't want to sit and have to rewatch the cinematic. Small thing, but tiny little pet peeve of mine. Considering those are my top complaints, I mean, it's not that bad. Well guys, if you've played Outriders, comment down below. Let me know what you loved about the game. Let me know what you hated. And let me know what you hope they do in the future.